Young Thug has just been released from his State RICO trial on 15 years probation. And after one of the longest criminal trials in history, Young Thug is now walking the streets as a free man. However, that didn't come easy, and the story of how Young Thug and his YSL constituents had ended up here in the first place is one of controversy and bloodshed. While Thug would have his co-defendants flip and become informant, he would still navigate his way to freedom while keeping his career intact. From placing hits with the deadliest bloods in Atlanta to charting #1 on Billboard, the story of Young Thug and how to beat a RICO is one to be studied.
Thug like my little bro. I fuck with Quan too, but you know.
Bullet holes in rapper Lil Wayne's shot-up tour bus. Jimmy Winfrey, the man who was convicted, admitted he did it and took a deal.
Man, I jumped out of pocket, man, so that's my bad. I really want to apologize, and shit, it ain't nothing, man. So you know what it is, man.
Man, of course I'm slapping. Got Lucha and I'm slapping. Got sauce. I need to make it or something like slam a bitch. I don't care, bro. I want water. So you know you gonna get that up.
Out here, little friend, he wanna make cool with him. He wanna go link with. He point their ass out.
If I kill a person, I pray to God that he forgive me. Yeah, it's nothing about music. It's 100% personal life.
Young Thug was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and is the second youngest of 11 children. Thug is known to have grown up in Jonesboro South Projects, near Cleveland Avenue, also known as Zone 3. Although Thug had been creative throughout his youth, he would find himself in a juvenile detention center, sentenced to 4 years after he broke his teacher's arm for unknown reasons. Clearly, Thug has been capable of impulsive violence at an extremely young age. However, I do suppose it's in the name though. Once Thug was released, he would realize that his music is what he wanted to commit his life to, and would jump in the studio around 18 years old with his childhood friend Pee Wee Longway, and together the two would make history. Not only would Thug be interested in music at this time, but he would also create his affiliation with Cleveland Avenue Bloods at a very young age, which this gang also has ties with the notorious SMM and 30 Deep gang. However, around about 2010, Thug would then put together a rap group called the Rock Crew, which stands for the Raised on Cleveland Crew. And this would eventually become the label that we know and love as YSL, or Young Slime Life, aka Young Stoner Life. Now that Thug was launching his rap career, he had made what I think is his first appearance on YouTube in June 2011 on a track with the Rich Kids titled $100 Autograph. Here we can really see Thug showing off what he calls his white boy swag. Although this was a great opportunity, Thug knew that it was time to focus on his own solo career throughout 2011 and 2012, which he would follow through with the I Came From Nothing trilogy with 3 mixtapes of straight heat, and what I think is to become the first Rich Gang single, Check. Shortly after this, Gucci Mane would end up reaching out in 2013 through Pee Wee Longway and sign Young Thug to 1017 Brick Squad Records under Asylum and Atlantic. Then, in February 2013, Thug would drop his project titled 1017 Thug, and mind you, this is his 4th project that has gone crazy in the streets within the first couple years of starting his career. This 1017 project blew Young Thug through the roof, to where every publication, including Rolling Stone, would be shouting praise throughout their hip-hop columns. And in July 2013, Complex would include Thug in their top 25 new rappers to look out for. Young Thug would be on the rise, and it was clear to everyone that he was the next big act to come out of Atlanta. On top of Thug also beginning to date Jerica Carle around this time. He would also move on to join the famous Birdman to create Rich Gang with Rich Homie Quan. This, in my opinion, was a supreme collaboration and my favorite Young Thug era, when him, Birdman, Rich Homie Quan, and the whole Rich Gang were making music together. When unfortunately, recently, in 2024, we tragically lost Rich Homie Quan to a fentanyl overdose. R.I.P. Rich Homie Quan.
Working with Thug and Quan really gave me a whole nother motivation about music, because I was more on my CEO shit. That's my thing. I'm with the CEO shit, but with these youngsters, I'm super excited about it. Thug like my little bro. I fuck with him for life. I fuck with Quan too, but you know, I'm always make sure they're a part of the Rich Gang.
And if I say it, I can't take my words back. From East Atlanta, all the way to all night. How does it feel to make a meal when you ain't even signed yet?
Following the new collaboration between Birdman and Young Thug, they would drop the official Rich Gang project with the hit single Tap Out, and stacked with features including a few you wouldn't even expect, like R. Kelly and Limp Bizkit. Now, things may seem sweet to the public, however, behind closed doors, it seemed that Thug was being investigated under a slew of firearm thefts throughout Atlanta. It didn't make matters any better when he would be pulled over in August 2013 and APD would confiscate a firearm and take Thug into custody. Somehow he would get out shortly after to start focusing back on his career again. That is until a member from his gang, crew, would be arrested in a home invasion gone wrong. And to make matters worse, YSL DK, the one that was arrested, would then be booked into custody and police would take photos of his YSL face tattoo. While at this time, other YSL members, Tick and Doo-Wop, would also eventually be all arrested under a slew of robbery and gun charges as well. It was at this moment that the police knew YSL was not only a gang organization, but also tied to the robberies and shootings that have been haunting Atlanta. As much as Thug was aware of his dark past coming to haunt him, this was no way he would allow this to get in the way of the opportunity of becoming a famous rapper. To wrap up 2013, Thug would drop singles like Who's on Top and Loaded with his childhood friends MPA Duke and Pee Wee Longway. But it was his single I'm a Stoner that would skyrocket Young Thug into the mainstream. This song was huge, and I know that every dubstep artist at this time remixed the song and would make this track a party staple. Young Thug was on top of the world and still in love with Jerica Carlet, to the point where he would ask her hand in marriage and to continue Thug's legacy with him. So at this point, Thug is signed under Gucci at 1017, but also has a management deal with Birdman at Cash Money. Thug was destined for greatness and he wouldn't disappoint. Throughout 2014, Thug would also sign with 300 ENT and go on to drop back-to-back hit singles like All About the Money featuring T.I. and Hookah featuring Tyga. He would also drop projects back-to-back this year with titles like 1017 Thug 2 and 3 and Rich Gang's The Tour Part 1 and 2 as well. Oh, and one of my personal favorite singles, Tell 'Em, featuring Rich Homie Quan. That being said, Young Thug had announced around this time that he would be doing a collaborative project with Bloody J titled Black Portland. Bloody J is one of the most notorious Bloods in Atlanta. Thug is famously seen with Bloody J, Big Nut, and Rich Homie Quan in this clip chilling in the studio. It seems like from this clip, things seem to be cool between everybody. However, soon, this relationship would take a dark turn. Now, the next portion of this video is where we introduce YFN Lucci. Thug and YFN Lucci had been known to have mutual friends and even be around each other frequently at one point. And well, remember Big Nut from that studio clip? Well, Nut had been at a barbershop when suddenly shots would go off, and Nut would be gunned down in a drive-by shooting that would also injure two other bystanders, one of which being a 14-year-old kid. R.I.P. Big Nut. Later on, we would find out details that Thug had allegedly ordered this hit on Big Nut, when it would come out that the Infiniti Q50 that was used in the drive-by was tied to Thug's name at a local Hertz car rental. YSL Lil Woody would testify that he himself was in fact involved with this hit every step of the way, including himself with 4 others. After the hit was complete, Woody and another YSL member met Thug in a vehicle parked outside of a McDonald's only 10 miles from the crime scene to confirm with Thug that the job had been done. Now, there are rumors as to why this hit had occurred in the first place, considering you can see these two hanging out in the studio together not long prior. Some would say that this had come about after Big Nut had allegedly put hands on Young Thug's sister, and others would say that there was financial motive behind it since Big Nut had seemingly been the manager to Rich Homie Quan. One thing is for sure though, is that this murder had sparked the bloodiest gang war that Atlanta had ever seen. Word would get around that YFN Lucci was gunning for YSL after he found out that they had killed his best friend and mentor, Big Nut. Around this time, YSL DK would perform a drive-by targeted at YFN Lucci's mother and other members of his family at their family residence. At this point, it was clear that this was war, as YFN had then attempted to gun down YSL Lil Duke, but had failed the attempt. Now, this war between YFN and YSL at this point was beginning to split Atlanta apart, forcing the ones involved to choose sides and choose fast. Outside of the streets, Young Thug would continue to face conflict. To start off 2015, Lil Wayne would come out to announce that he was stepping away from Birdman and Cash Money due to issues over some alleged bad business. At this point, Wayne was publicly saying things about Birdman that Thug did not appreciate. Even though Wayne had been a huge influence on him musically, he would end up having to take Birdman's side in this feud. feud after Birdman had helped Thug get to where he is today, and he couldn't relate to Wayne's testimony. To solidify the beef, Young Thug would drop his project, The Barter 6, intentionally mocking Lil Wayne and the Carter album series. Days after The Barter 6 drops, in April 2015, Lil Wayne's tour bus would also be shot up while performing in Baton Rouge.
Bullet holes in rapper Lil Wayne's shot-up tour bus. Well, the man responsible was caught and convicted back in 2015. But tonight, a major development in the case. In fact, a major reversal. The Georgia Supreme Court has thrown out the conviction. But here's why this is so unexpected and rare. Jimmy Winfrey, the man who was convicted, actually pleaded guilty to the charges, admitted he did it, and took a deal.
YSL Pee-wee would end up being arrested and charged with this shooting that would come out to seem like another alleged hit put out by the dangerous Young Thug. Now, if it wasn't enough that now YSL members DK and now Pee-wee have both been arrested and charged with hits under the YSL investigation, but YSL affiliate Damian Garlington would go on a random shooting spree after targeting 2 innocent women at 2 separate locations in the same night. And mind you, this is days after the Lil Wayne tour bus incident. Things were getting extremely dark surrounding Thug, including this moment where he apparently gets kicked out of the mall by security after harassing him, and I guess these charges were dropped eventually. Now, Thug had to have been stressed out about all of this drama and violence that he was being surrounded by. And thankfully for us as fans, he would deal with this stress by diving into the booth, while finishing 2015 with hit singles like Halftime, With That, Lifestyle, Best Friend, Power, and Thief in the Night. These songs all have hundreds of millions of views to this day and stand out as straight classics. Not to mention the iconic projects titled Slime Season 1 and 2, Thug had been feeding the streets with music for years at this point, and he was finally ready to go on his tour, which would conclude in a 6-week national tour, then followed by an international European tour right after that. Young Thug was everywhere at this point, and there was no denying his greatness. Amongst Thug getting back from his international tour, there were some odd events awaiting him back home. Now, first, randomly, The Game would be coming out, copping pleas apologizing to Young Thug for some reason.
Man, I jumped out of pocket, man, so, that's my bad, nigga. A real nigga don't apologize. And, shit, it ain't nothing, man. So, you know what it is, man. I got a lot of respect. We got too many motherfuckers we fuck with this all up in this shit. And so, it's all love, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take that one on the chin.
It's all good.
We're gonna pull up on you.
Now, I'm not sure if he was trolling or what, and what this necessarily was about, but maybe you guys can help me out in the comments on this one. Following this incident, Rich Homie would increasingly be separating himself from Young Thug at this point.
With Quan, with Rich Homie.
No, we don't have no problem.
Okay.
Like, I don't think we can be like how we used to be.
Right.
He already just did some bullshit. He already know my heart. So it's like, I'm too pure. So once you just
cross that line.
Yeah, you do that, it's like, no. I forgive. I always forgive. If I kill a person, I pray to God that he forgive me. If I do something to a person, I pray I get forgiveness. So I always forgive. I don't ever hold grudges on nobody. I forgive everybody.
But on the shallow end, you know how people want more music and people want to put y'all together. You don't see that happening.
No.
Right.
Because it'll be just...
It's more personal as opposed to...
Yeah, it's nothing about music. It's 100% personal. Like, this was my brother.
Yeah.
It's just like, bro. Now it's like, man, you probably can't never get the blessing of having me on the song, and I can never get the blessing of having you on my song again.
After this insane war had sparked surrounding him, then YFN Lucci himself would post this creepy message to Twitter wishing Thug's daughter a happy birthday. Then, to make matters worse, Lucci would then tweet some provocative stuff towards Thug's fiance in an attempt to convince Thug that she's unfaithful, I suppose. It seemed that Thug wasn't fazed by this attempt at all and would continue to focus on his career at hand. Throughout 2016, Thug would continue to drop 3 more projects titled I'm Up, Slime Season 3, and the classic Jeffrey, where Thug is seen wearing a dress on the cover, which would stir up a ton of controversy. Now, with all this momentum, through 300 ENT, Young Thug would then launch his YSL label officially, while also announcing his new signees, Gunna, Lil Keed, Lil Got It, Lil Duke, Yak Gotti, and many more. Reportedly around this time in April 2017, Thug would then be arrested, but also cleared an alleged battery after slapping a woman outside of a nightclub because she was getting into it with his fiancée Jerica. However, these charges would eventually be dropped due to lack of evidence. And following this incident just days later, Thug would then be arrested after his home was raided, which would result in Thug being charged with felony cocaine and cannabis possession, and 3 counts of felony gun possession. However, his lawyers were able to get everything dropped, except for the cannabis possession, I suppose. Then, to stir up even more controversy, Thug would drop his new project titled Beautiful Thugger Girls on Tupac's birthday. Now, people had their own speculations until Thug would confirm that he did intentionally post this song on Tupac's birthday because he is, quote, the new Pac. Now, anytime a rapper makes any sort of comparison to Tupac, it seems that it's just not received well by the public for the most part. So I would refrain. But that would really be the least of his problems. After Thug is arrested again in September 2017 on multiple drug and gun possession charges during a traffic stop for having tinted windows to begin with. Thankfully, Thug would get out not long after and would effortlessly drop 2 hit singles titled Relationship featuring Future and hit single Havana by Camilo Cabello. Havana would officially make Young Thug a #1 Billboard charting artist, making Thug at this point undeniable around the world, while Thug would continue to keep this up by dropping 3 more projects: Hear No Evil, Slime Language, and On the Run. Although starting off 2019, Thug would receive a Grammy for his contribution to co-writing the song titled This Is America by Childish Gambino. He was still on the hunt for blood. Then in May 2019, YFN Lucci's G-Wagon was reportedly shot up, wounding one of his passengers. And then in June, someone had painted the word slat on Big Nut's headstone. And then lastly, Thug would then post to IG, quote, if I ain't like what you do for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you. Now, not the worst I've seen as far as being incriminating, but definitely not a common thing for Thug to be so literal when it comes to these direct threats.
While we're here as well, man, there's been a break in as far as like YFN. What's going on with you and YFN Lucci?
Like, I don't want to see no nigga land in the street like Nip. I don't want to be landing the street like Nip.
I got you.
Because I know I'm going to take it there, and I know it's other people around the world that'll take it there too. I ain't the only person that'll take it there. So we debt dock anything we have problems with. Like, that shit debt dock. I put up a post the other day. I'm like, nigga, if I ain't like what you did for your mom and kids, like, I'm bigging them up. Like, nigga, I like what you do for your mom and your kids. He take care of his mom and his kids.
Speaking on?
YFN Lucci.
Wow.
Why he take care of his mom and his kids? Like, this nigga in the car, I got videos saved in my phone of goddamn him riding in the car with his kids. His daughter came up from the back seat with the water and poured it on his son in the front seat was asleep. He like woke up. It's like, I got these type of videos on my phone, like this real fatherhood. I respect this. The way he treated his mom and his kids will really stop me from doing something to him.
To blow off some steam, Thug would return to business as usual while dropping the famous single titled The London, featuring J. Cole and Travis Scott. Thug would then follow up 2 weeks later with his album titled So Much Fun, which after dropping this album, he would then take off on another tour. This tour titled the Justin Bieber Big Tour, which is a bit odd. Not to mention it was featuring Machine Gun and Kelly to close out 2019. However, to kick off 2020, Thug would drop his collab tape with Chris Brown titled Slime and B, and this would chart number 3 on Billboard with the leading single Go Crazy. Now, though he was on a good run again, Thug would indirectly be drawn right back into the YFN war after Lucci's music video shoot gets shot up, injuring a 15-year-old kid. And if that wasn't enough, the next month, YSL Yak Gotti would post a picture of him standing on top of Lucci's car outside of the mall, and then go on to use this image as his cover art for his next drop. With all of this drama seeming to be endless, it's inevitable that it would cause issues with Thug's personal life with Jerica Carle. And shortly after, the two would announce that they were calling off their engagement for good in December 2020. However, I don't think that Thug was too heartbroken, considering he was publicly dating singer and songwriter Mariah the Scientist in January 2021 the following year. Young Thug was starting off 2021 solid, and when he seems to be in a good space, you know he takes this opportunity to get back in the studio to create, while coming out and dropping the collaboration project Slime Language 2, which charted on Billboard Top 200 with leading single Ski featuring Gunna. Then Young Thug could be seen celebrating his 30th birthday, doing a feature with Drake for Way Too Sexy, and even drops another project titled Punk throughout 2021, which is all great. However, soon, Thug would get news that would have him extremely concerned. In May 2021, Thug caught word that his worst enemy, YFN Lucci, was picked up on an indictment, and Thug knew that with all the back and forth that they had shared, it was a matter of time before they were coming to investigate him as well, and he would not be wrong. For the next 12 months, Thug would lay low, not going on tours, and the only time he had gone out was to celebrate his birthday. However, it seemed to be too late, because in May 2022, Young Thug would be arrested and brought into custody under the State RICO Act. Then, shortly after Thug's arrest, he would also get word that his close friend and label signee, Lil Keed, would lose his life to a rare condition. R.I.P. Lil Keed. Now, I'm going to spare you the intricate details of the YSL RICO trial, considering that recently Young Thug had been let off on 15-year probation as part of a plea deal. Now, some are speculating that the 15-year probation is somewhat of a setup just to land Thug back behind bars eventually again. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is this 15-year probation a setup, or is he getting a break?
I am a smart guy. I am a good guy, and I really got a good heart. You know, I find myself in a lot of stuff because I was just nice or cool, you know, and I understand that you can't be that way when you reach a certain height because it could end bad, and it don't really have to have nothing to do with you, but it could end bad and it could, you know, fall on you. And I know the choice is yours, it's up to you, and I hope that you allow me to go home today and just trust in me to just do the right thing and never see you again unless it's at a, you know, bar in the future or something.
Since his release, Thug can be seen with ATL legend T.I. It would also seem that even though Thug would request to work with Gunna directly upon his release, recently Thug had posted to Twitter, quote, "Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the internet. I don't know you, my guy." Now, granted, this was a post and delete, but fans are also thinking that this might be one big publicity stunt as well. Now, in conclusion, Young Thug has demonstrated a masterful job in keeping his incriminating moments to a minimum, while also dropping subliminals tastefully throughout his lyrics. And when I say masterful, I do mean by today's standards, where we have a new crash out on IG Live daily. I believe that it's Thug's ability to walk this fine line, as well as the state of Georgia slightly dropping the ball, that allowed Young Thug to beat this RICO indictment, at least for now. However, one thing's for sure, and it's that no matter what, Young Thug is undeniably one of the most innovative artists that we have experienced, and he will continue to have the world waiting to see exactly what his next move will be.
The fact that it's love in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's genuine. It's loyalty. It's motherfucking, it's family. It's never friend. You know what I'm saying? It's always family. Everything's family. Long as I feel like it's that, and I groom everybody, all my artists, I groom every nigga that come up around me, every girl that come up around me, I groom them to like, man, be loyal. Your heart. Put your heart in it. Yeah, right. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Long as it's that, like I just want it to be that.